Bill Goldberg was on Talk Is Jericho this week, the 900th episode of Talk Is Jericho, which is a huge milestone, not just for pro wrestling podcasts, but for podcasts in general. Like, Jericho is one of the OG podcasts, and he's still up there in the rankings. He's still one of the top podcasts. So props to Jericho and everything that he's been able to achieve. And Goldberg was a wonderful guest on the show. Him and Jericho seem to have a pretty good rapport. They seem to be pretty friendly. I didn't know that they were friends in the real world, but apparently they are very friendly with each other. And Goldberg was a fantastic guest. You know, he's very open, talking about all things, you know, from his beef with Bret Hart to his matches with Brock Lesnar. You know, the first match where they were booed out of the building, to the match when Goldberg came back and beat Brock Lesnar in like 90 seconds. Just a really great conversation that they had. They covered a lot of topics. Goldberg came across as very humble, very appreciative for everything that he has. But it was in this clip here where they talked about the fight that they got into backstage. You know, we've heard parts of this before. We've heard Jericho talk about it in the past, and I think we've heard Goldberg talk about it too, but we've never heard the two of them get together and talk about it together. And this is what they had to say about it. Check out this clip.
I firmly believe that, we had our backstage, brouhaha scuffle backstage that was manipulated, I think, by other people to kind of pit us against each other. Yeah. Do you feel you know what I mean? Right?
100%. Things in life happen for a reason. And I don't believe that one was because of the true animosity you and I had for each other. It was a stage that was set by other people.
Yeah.
And we just followed out the storyline, or I don't.
Yeah.
I will apologize to the end of my days for that.
Me too, man. Once again, face to face, that caused a lot of issues. But actually, once we got that out of our system, we did work together that summer quite a few times. We even had a pay-per-view. But yeah, that was not something I was really very proud about either, especially the fact that it was, online 20 minutes later. That's why I was like, this was all a setup, and we fell for it 1,000%, man.
Bingo. There's no question about it. And, like I say, things happen for a reason. Life's too short to hold grudges by any stretch. And I like to think that it happened so that you and I could get closer as friends, as closer as human beings. So
agree. I was terrified during that fight, by the way. I was like, he's going to kill me. He's going to rip my head off. He's going to kill me.
The only thing I remember is holding a Coors Light and putting it down and going, oh, really? Is this, God, why? It was horrible, dude. It was horrible. If I could erase 10 minutes of my life, that would surely be 5 of it.
Well, it sure created a legendary story. That's for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. You kicked my ass pretty good, man.
Oh yeah. I stretched you.
It's interesting that they seem to think that this was set up a little bit, that they were pushed into this backstage altercation, that they were egged on by people, that there were people trying to kind of stir the pot a little bit, stir shit up and get these people to go at each other, be at each other's neck. And, it's fun to hear, like Jericho just flat out admit, like, I was scared. This guy's going to rip my head off, he said. I'd be scared to fight Goldberg too. We talked about this a couple weeks ago when Jericho was talking like a big tough guy with his fight with Brock Lesnar. He's like, I was gonna bite his nose off, and I'd fight him again now too. But clearly, if he was scared of Goldberg, he'd be scared of Brock Lesnar as well. So it was fun to hear him admit that and just kind of talk about, like they're all two buddies now. And that tends to be the case with guys, right? You got a beef, you scrap it out, and then suddenly, like, you're just at peace with each other, and everything's fine, and you kind of have that new respect for each other after scrapping it out a little bit, and especially after the two of them were kind of able to realize that they were probably pushed into this by other people in the locker room. They were kind of goaded into having this little beef with each other, and that they seem to get along just fine now. So This will always remain one of the most infamous fights in backstage history for professional wrestling. Jericho's got a couple of those famously, and Goldberg's got a couple of those too famously, but it's great to hear that the two of them get along now, and it's just fun to listen to Goldberg talk. Goldberg always got a bad reputation for being a guy that wasn't really a fan of the business and kind of was just there for the money and that sort of thing. And he seems to have like a whole new respect for the professional wrestling business now. He seems to be more humble, more chill, and I really enjoy listening to him. Anytime he does an interview, he's got a lot of great insight. He's got a very good perspective, where he's coming from seems to be from a very innocent, pure place. Nowadays, it's not from a place of ego or anything like that. So, highly recommend. This is one of the better Goldberg interviews I've ever heard, to be honest with you. And just the way that these two were talking like they were old friends, and it just came off really relatable. And it just a lot of good stories. They covered a lot of ground in Goldberg's career, and I thought we got a lot of really honest answers. Another thing that made the news rounds this week from this was that Goldberg is done apologizing for the Bret Hart thing. I didn't pick that part of this conversation to tackle for this episode because I covered it a couple weeks ago. Goldberg was on some kind of ESPN podcast or something, and he had mentioned that he's basically done with it now and a little bit pissed off, frankly, that Bret keeps bringing it up everywhere, and that's his right. Bret can be pissed off about it all he wants, but Goldberg's right too. He's apologized enough for this. How many times can he go on an interview and say how sorry he is and how bad he feels? And he, wears everything on his sleeve. He takes things to heart, and things affect him deeply. He's a sensitive guy deep down. And, he said that he'll carry this to his grave. He said it in this interview too, and he said it on that ESPN one. This is something he'll carry with him to his grave, what he did to Bret. But he feels terrible about it, but he's done apologizing about it. He says it every time he talks. And at this point, Bret doesn't seem to forgive him. So how many more times can Goldberg come on and try to earn that forgiveness from Bret before he just says, you know what? Fuck you. Stay mad then. That's fine. I'm done kissing your ass about it. And, I respect that too. He doesn't need to come out. He's said it over and over and over. He doesn't need to keep coming out and begging for forgiveness from Bret Hart, who is a stubborn old man who holds grudges anyway. Bret Hart's bitter. He's not, I would venture to say that he probably hasn't forgiven Shawn, even though they, did the whole on-air handshake and hug and stuff. I bet you if you got him cornered, he'd probably still have a lot of bad things to say about Shawn Michaels. So Bret, is not likely to ever forgive Goldberg, and I don't forgive I don't hold it against Goldberg for just not being willing to play this game anymore. I've said my piece. I've apologized over and over. I've laid my heart out to you, Bret, and you still haven't acknowledged it. You still haven't forgiven me, so fuck it. I'm done. And it was just a really great interview with Goldberg. I highly recommend going out of your way to check out that one. 900th episode of Talk Is Jericho.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.